I'll say this, and this is just my personal perspective. Coach gave the benediction earlier. We laughed about it, but Coach kind of he opened and closed us out. He gave great words, and all honesty, I think for me, I don't really have anything else to say for real other than continue to continue to strive. Roland just said something that was great. A lot of people quit before the level of success happens because things aren't going the way that they're going. That's something that a lot of entrepreneurs or people that want to be entrepreneurs they make the mistake of quitting because things aren't going the way they want them to. Keep going. You know, I'm a firm believer. I've invested into being a investment broker, a life insurance agent, and it's something that I refuse to give up. I'm not giving up on the company. I'm not giving up on making money. I'm not giving up on building my business how I want it, simply because I've seen the results. So, going back to what Roland said, don't give up. Keep fighting. And coach, I appreciate you most definitely tonight, boss. You gave me the benediction. I'm I'm ready to eat now.
I guess you've all already heard it. Feed your mind with things that are going to help you get to where you need to go in a positive manner where you're not hurting anybody in the process. Um, it takes a lot. You have to get rid of your ego when you do that too, because you're not always right and you don't know everything. And there are going to be people that are going to constructively criticize what you are doing. Don't take that as hating, because most of the time, those people who are constructively criticizing what you are doing, they love you to death and they want to see you succeed more than they do. So just keep that in mind. Always keep learning, always keep striving, never give up. Those are my final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think final thoughts for me would be find yourself a mentor, become an avid reader. Even if you're reading 1 and 2 pages a day, even if you're reading periodicals or newspaper ads or whatever, read something besides posts and text messages. Make sure that you stimulate your own mind, because when you stimulate your own mind, it'll send you to other avenues where you can find things, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on social media, whatever. You can find passions in any and everything. And when you find your passions, then you will start to seek out people that are in that same vein, and they're walking in that same likeness. And you'll start to uplift your own self. Because when you can uplift yourself, then you have no choice but to uplift those around you if they are going to be around you.
Ooh, my final thoughts. There should be no limit on how much you spend on yourself in order to succeed, to learn. Um, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself and your abilities and whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to be. And if you have to pay to get a shortcut, pay it, because if you're dedicated in what you do, and that's the way it is. That's what you have to do. Um, Another thing I would say is, love what you do. Therefore, it's not considered work. When you love what you're doing and you're pursuing it and it's your passion and you're going for what you want and you're realistic about your expectations, not delusional, realistic. It doesn't feel like work. Therefore, all you have to do is focus on your goal and you want. And if you do what you love doing, monetary money will come afterwards. It will come because you become that good at it that people will pay you for what you do. And another thing I always say, you're as good as the company you keep. It's okay if everybody doesn't like you. You don't want everybody to like you, because then there's less people to ask for money from you or to borrow from you. I have a handful of friends, but I got a lot of acquaintances. Keep it that way. You know who your friends are. You know who could put you in check and bring you back down to reality. Circle yourself with those people, right? Because when be careful who you shit on the way up, because you never know who you're going to smell on the way down. So be very careful in who you socialize with, right? That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, so my final thoughts, and I don't want to regurgitate what was already said. One of the things I want to focus on is that you've heard a lot. You've heard a lot of information about some of the things that you can do to pour into yourself. Um, I also want to kind of hang my hat on the fact that every person needs to be coachable and trainable. I think that's important to understand. You've heard some examples to where I think John mentioned it to where he was told to go find somebody who's doing it and do exactly what they do. Well, the only person who can do that is the person who's actually trainable and coachable. And he gave the perfect response, because a lot of times what people tend to do, they want to go and recreate the wheel. I want to kind of change gears here, because I think it's important to understand that, and I mentioned it earlier, that you could be top heavy in one thing and lacking in a number of other things. There are 8 dimensions that make up the total person. It's called the 8 dimensions of wellness. So you need to focus on, and these 8 dimensions are emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. So you need to focus on, as you're putting this information in your head, you need to focus on making yourself emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, intellectually healthy, physically healthy, environmental. Like, all of these things make up the total person, right? So when you start looking at it, it's not about how much money I can make, or it's not about how many friends you have, or how many people like you on social media. Who cares about any of that? The idea is, what is your metric of success? What defines success for you? I think the best definition of success I ever heard came from Earl Nightingale. And he said the definition of success is the progressive awareness of a worthy idea. So when you grasp that, then you will realize that you can probably make $200,000-300,000 a year and be perfectly fine. Not necessarily content, but you could be happy, and you can have a joyful life. You can have a joyful family. You can have a great circle of friends, and you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I think that's the answer. So focus on those 8 things. Again, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. And that's it.
My final thought is this. One of the things that really stood out with me was something Roland said, but everybody has been doing it today. Everybody has been talking, but one thing that Roland said was listening. And this goes into what Coach was talking about when he's saying that you have to be coachable. You have to be able to listen and listen to wise counsel when you hear it. There's a whole bunch of different things on social media that may or may not be good for you. And you have to be able to determine and look between the lines to see what's good for you and what's going to benefit you and what's not going to benefit you. So having the ability to be able to listen to wise counsel, for me, is something that I want to close out with when it comes to my final thoughts is, you see good information, you find a good podcast out there, you find a good YouTube channel like this one, Across the Table with Chris, Empowering Perspective podcast, Code Talk with Vic. When you find a good podcast or something like that, share it, listen to it. Because a lot of good information out there. There are a lot of panels out there. Some got some garbage and some of them got some good things. Like I said, find something that's good for you, listen to it, and soak it in.